We receive miracle. Yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to Faith in the Morning. Something good is going to happen to you today, so expect miracles. Thank you for joining me today. Faith in the Morning exists to help you start today with faith and encouragement. And over the last couple of weeks, we've been sharing things that you should pray and say over your children, over your grandchildren, or of your students if you're an educator, because your words are important. We're giving you words to say, to speak into their life, but also things you should pray for them. And if you're newer to the podcast and you've missed any of it, look at the last couple of weeks on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or our Faith Plus app, and you'll be able to see the different things that we shared. And let's go to Proverbs chapter 18. I want to share with you a few things as we go along this line and on this thought. Proverbs chapter 18. I will start with verse 20. A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Your words are important. Your words affect your life. It affects your mentality. It affects what you believe. It affects your focus. It affects your perspective. And also it affects those around you, especially if they're your children or your grandchildren, because you're forming the way they see life by what you say. Your words also have spiritual power and put spiritual laws in motion. So what you say, especially what you say on a regular basis, is highly important. Now go with me in Mark chapter 11. These two passages we looked at earlier a couple of weeks ago when we were starting this things and what to say and pray over our children as they go back to school. Mark chapter 11. Starting with verse 22, and Jesus answered said unto them, have faith in God. For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast in the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever you desire when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you shall have them. Of course, this whole passage is in response to what Jesus did. He saw a fig tree, he spoke to it, and within 24 hours, it dried up from the roots. And Peter was saying, hey, Jesus, look what happened. And Jesus responded this to him. Now, remember, Jesus told us how he operated. He says, I only say what I hear my Father say. I only do what I see him do. So the words he spoke to the fig tree came from the Father. And these same words he says to speak to the mountain comes from the Father as well. And so it's important to speak God's promises over your life, to go through the Word of God and write them down and speak God's promises over your life daily. It affects your mindset, affects your perspective. It puts spiritual laws in motion. It strengthens your faith. It builds your faith. But also when it comes to declaring things over your life and over your children, over your family, over your students, you should always look on the inside and see where the Father is leading you to say. And you start with the promises of God and then listen on the inside to see if there's anything else he wants you to say. You know, one of the faith confessions that I speak over my daughters every single day, and so often that they can quote it now. Well, the little one, she's 10 months, she can't quote it, but the rest of them can, because I say it over them. You know, I remember a number of years ago, you know, I was listening to my heart, but what do I want to say over my kids? What promises do I want to speak over them? And from it, it grew to a place to where this is what I say on a regular basis to them. And this statement of faith that I speak over my children has become the one of the main parts of the confession that our students and scholars at Faith Christian Schools say every single day. And I want to share it with you so that you can share it with your kids, your students, your grandkids, and speak it over their lives as well. You know, I speak it over them, but also sometimes because now they can say it with me and I have them say it with me, I ask them, well, what are you doing today? And so I'll start with them. So this is what I'm doing with my 10-month-old right now. So, well, what are you doing today? You're growing in wisdom and stature and favor with God and man. Great is your peace. You are taught of the Lord. You're an arrow of light that destroys darkness. You are a mighty woman of valor and virtue. That's what I say over them every day. That's what I speak over them every day. And so now I can ask them and say, what are you doing today? And then they personalize it and they can say it back. Why? I'm speaking the word of God to them. They speak the word of God back, and it's going to frame how they view life. You can do the same thing as well. Pour into your children the promises of God, the words of God, and out of their mouth will come the same thing. Not only will spiritual laws be in action, but it will renew their mind and it will strengthen their faith. I encourage you, make sure that you are doing this daily. and know that something good is going to happen to you. So expect miracles. If you haven't already, you can subscribe to the Kerrick Butler or the Faith Christian Center YouTube channels. You can subscribe to the Faith in the Morning podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you haven't already, rate us highly, give us a 5-star rating so other people can discover this podcast and be encouraged in their faith. Have a great day. Remember, God has amazing plans for your life, and something good is going to happen to you. So expect miracles. God bless.